Okay, today we are going from start to finish on how to write an offer through the Northwest MLS. This is a class. This is not live people, so I will use names that, oh, that's not what I wanted. I will use generic names. Oh yeah, that is what I wanted. Why can't? Okay, so by now, in all great scenarios, you have already had your buyer consultation, you've shown houses, they found the house they want to write, and now you write the offer. The easiest way to do it is going from start to finish in the wizard in transaction desk and then dumping everything into Authentisign to send to the client. But you've already had your disclosure packet signed, you've had your buyer agency signed. Excuse me. So now we go into Matrix and we pull up the property that they want to write a house that they want to write an offer on. From here, the easiest way to do it is pulling it up by the north with the Northwest MLS number. I'm just going to do something from here that we can find. I don't think we need to do an $8 million property. Let's do find something a little more local than, let's see, this looks to be residential. Let's pull this one from Capitol Hill. Cute little house. I always start by looking at supplements to make sure we've got the legal description in there. We've got Form 17, which is great. The seller has filled out the utilities, Form 22K. The seller has completed a 22J lead-based paint, and the FERPTA is done. So we are going to pull through in documents 22K, the legal description, and 22J. If you want your client to sign Form 17 at the time of the offer, you can pull that through as well, or you can just send it to your client, and then the seller is required to send it to you through the listing broker. And from there, then you would have your client sign it. So I don't actually give it to them right away because I want to have that as an out if we need it. So I will actually not have them sign it during the time of the offer. So we've got what we need. We're going to start the wizard by clicking the icon right here next to the photo that has a pencil and a scrolly paper. Excuse me. Excuse me. It should pull up the wizard. It's thinking. Yep, there it goes. Excuse me. Let me hold on just a second. Okay, let's try this again. So I start with the address and I put the last name of my client or the full name, whatever you would like to choose, just so it's easier for me to find in transaction desk. So, oops. I do not use a template because I don't have one set up. This is a residential sale. It's a single family. It's got our MLS number. I am the buyer broker, so I'm going to create the transaction. Okay, so I'm going to go through here to see we've got our information. This information is already in there for us, which is great. It gives us the tax ID number that will show up on our purchase and sale agreement. It's got the address. The list price is $795. How much would you like to offer, buyer? What do you think?
How long has it been on the market?
It went back on the market. It has been on the market for 68 days, and it looks like it has not had a price reduction. It had an offer. It looks like it didn't have originally the buyer paid compensation in there for the broker, and it looks like it went pending within less than 10 days. So it's probably a fair price. It went pending. It went from pending to active, probably. I'm not quite sure what it was based on, but it's been on the market since October. What would you like to offer?
Hmm. Uh, what about 750?
750. Tabbing through, it says that the seller is offering the buyer compensation of 2.5. What is on my BBSA? How much am I charging you, buyer?
2.5%.
2.5. So we're going to keep it even. Okay. And then that makes sure then that I am disclosing to the seller that I'm charging you, buyer, 2.5%. So That means that there's nothing that is any different than what they're currently offering. Hit next to go to the next page. Our purchase sale agreement date is today. That's the day we're writing the offer. Our offer, does it expire on a certain date, or we are going to leave it blank and it will expire automatically in 2 business days at 9 p.m.?
I think 2 business days is fine.
Perfect. We will leave that blank. And we do not have mutual acceptance yet. And our closing date, the lender says we need a minimum of 20 days. So we're going to go 30 days for safety. Today is the 19th, and the 19th would be a Thursday. So that will work out. Hit next to go to the next slide. It's got our listing broker. It's got me. It's got my buyer brokerage. It's got the listing brokerage and the seller's name. Now I need to add up here at the plus sign, my buyer's name. So create new contract. Whoops, not buyer broker, buyer. And the first name of my buyer, the last name of my buyer, and their email address. Okay, save that. Now our contacts are in there. Are we one buyer, or are we 2 buyers, or 3 buyers? How many buyers do we have?
2.
2. We're gonna add another one. And we're gonna go buyer, and we're gonna go first name, last name. The reason I don't put physical names in there is because this is not a real transaction. You would actually put your client's information in there. Let's go with use one of my other ones. Perfect. Save that. We've got both of our buyers in there now. Next, we are going to add our forms. This is where you're going to take some notes so you know what some of the common forms that you will typically use in any transaction. Hit the add button. You're going to use a purchase and sale agreement. This is a single family. That form number is going to be 21. You can also type in the name of it.
Be right back.
Okay. Okay, so we've typed in purchase. We're looking for the residential purchase and sale agreement. It is here. You'll notice when I type in purchase, you're going to get a couple of options. We are using a residential purchase and sale agreement, not a condominium, not multifamily, not vacant land. Our next form is going to be financing. So you can type in financing. You're going to use form 22A for financing. The buyer is having an inspection. This is built in 1909, I believe. So an inspection is going to be important on an older home, especially. Type in inspection, or it's also known as Form 35. And I always recommend that you use the optional clause addendum Form 22D, and I'll show you why. We already know that 22K has been filled out by the seller. 22J has been filled out by the seller, so I do not need those. The other one that's highly important, I would say, would be the insurance, which is Form 22VV for Victor Victor. Now, the reason that that one is important is because we have no idea if the seller's ever filed a claim against the property for water damage, fire damage. Maybe the dishwasher leaked, they had to replace all of the flooring. The problem with insurance claims on a house is it goes against the house and it stays with the house. So one claim will go against the house, will blackball the house with insurance companies for years to come. It doesn't run with the person, it runs with the house. Unlike a car insurance where it runs with the person, not the car. So that's why I think it's highly important. Also, east of the mountains, it's highly important to have this because there's a lot of fire issues out there. Insurance companies may not insure the house based on treed areas. So it's a very important form for our buyer. Was there a question?
Nope.
Okay. Add that. So I've got purchase and sale, I've got finance, I have inspection, I have optional clause addendum, and I have my insurance. Again, I do not need to add forms that the seller has already completed. Those will be found in the document area. Hit next, and you'll see what we have here. I will automatically send title commitment, so my buyer has a copy of that. I will send them Form 17, whether I have them sign it or not, I will send it to them. And then when I'm done with my forms, I will grab documents in Authentisign. We are done with the wizard. Now it is time to fill it out. You can go into forms here, or you can go into forms here. Start with your purchase and sale agreement. Okay. I always start at the top and I tab over so that I make sure that I don't miss a blank spot that might need to be completed. We already have an expiration date of 2 days automatically based on the boilerplate of the contract, or you can add an offer expiration date here. If I click on the 20th, it means that this offer will expire on the 20th by 9 p.m. The seller either needs to counter before that or accept before that. Right now, it's just an automatic 2 days. We've got our first buyer, we have our second buyer, and the status of my buyer are, pull down the menu, it could be any of the number of these. This particular two people are unmarried persons, we're going to say on this one, or it could be that they are married, a married couple, or a domestic partner, whatever the situation is with your clients. This is how the title company knows they're going to be vested in title.
Hmm.
Seller's completed. The property ID number is here. Our address is here. And then we pick what items stay with the house for appliances. It says in the listing, we've got the dishwasher, a microwave, refrigerator, stove, range, and washer. It does not say there's a dryer. It could be that it's a multi-unit where it does wash and dry, or it could be that there is no dryer because they hung clothes on a clothesline. So we will put what is in the house based on what we saw at the house. So I may click dryer because I saw a dryer there.
Mm.
So if I click all of this and the seller doesn't counter and take this out and the dryer's there, that means the seller has to leave it there.
Mm.
Dishwasher, we've got a microwave, and I think that is it. Okay. Our purchase price is $750,000. It's noted by a dollar figure as well as a written figure. Next is going to be our earnest money. How much earnest money, buyer, are you willing to show the seller for good faith effort that if you breach the contract illegally and you default, you will lose this money? How much are you willing to lose?
Uh, 10,000?
Okay. Okay. So buyer, you're putting $10,000 up. We need to deliver it to the escrow company within X number of days after mutual acceptance. Is a 2 or 3 day window doable for you, buyer?
3 days.
3 days. So you have 3 business days to deliver it to the escrow company. And it will be held by the closing agent. I can't hold it at my firm because I don't have a trust account. So it has to go to the closing agent. If you default, meaning you breach the contract, buyer, I'm going to say that you will forfeit your earnest money. If I were to check seller's election of remedy, that means the seller can do two things. One, keep your earnest money, and two, they can sue you. So that is a seller friendly. We're going to go with the buyer friendly option, but let's make sure that you don't default on the contract. They are asking for ABC Title to be their title company. We are going to honor that. I'm going to use XYZ or ZYX escrow company. So that's where you're going to deliver the earnest money to. I will send you all of that information once we get to mutual acceptance. Closing date is the 9th. Oh, and the individual person is going to be, her name is escrow person. That will be your closing agent. The 19th of February is the closing date. We want possession on closing. We are going to request that the escrow company hold back money from the seller for any lienable utilities against the property. That way, the seller can't leave you stuck with a giant bill that is lienable against the property versus against the person. Charges and assessments levied before closing, but due after closing, we are going to check prepaid in full by seller. That means if there was a homeowners association, as an example in this situation, that they will, and they're assessing it against the property today, but it's not due till after closing. You either assume that or the seller pays that off. So we're gonna have that as the seller pays off. And I need to close my door. My dog is. Okay. Let's see here. And the seller is not a foreign person for taxation purposes. So we'll check that box. They've already told us that. Now, buyer, you have a time period where you can verify any information the seller has given you. If you found that any of that information is incorrect, you can terminate or keep going. It's up to you. As an example, the flyer says it's 1,900 square feet. Tax record says it's 1,800 square feet, but you didn't find that out till after mutual acceptance. That would be an example. So, buyer, you have X number of days. We don't put anything here. You will automatically have a 10-day window. So how many days do you want to take your time to verify the seller has given you all of this information to be correct?
I think 10 days is plenty.
Perfect. And I recommend as your broker that you do your due diligence as quick as possible because we don't want to delay closing. We only have 30 days. So the minute we reach mutual or now even start verifying information. The buyer is represented by me and the seller is represented by their listing broker. The compensation the seller is telling you buyer they're paying me on your behalf is 2.5%, which is what matches on my buyer agreement that you sign. So there's no reason for an additional addendum. And that way also you will not have anything that you need to worry about paying my commission because the seller's taking care of it. Our attached addendums to the offer, we're going to do financing, and you can tab through once you've picked your first one to pick another one. You can use the pull down menu. We know that we want an inspection. We know that 22K is going to be used. We know that 22D optional clause addendum is going to be attached, and we know that 22J is for lead-based paint is going to be attached. If I forgot a form, I can always go up here to transaction forms to see if I might have forgotten something. And I did. I forgot my insurance form. So we are going to use 22VV Victor Victor for protection as well. That concludes the purchase and sale, excuse me, that concludes, well, yeah, the purchase and sale agreement as a whole. The rest of the attachments are everything that these paragraphs are everything that I have filled out ahead up above. I do teach a class on going through the boilerplate, and that will be coming up. That's a really good class that people enjoy because people don't know what these paragraphs mean, and I go through it in detail. So this form is done. We're going to go to our next form by going up to transaction forms and clicking on 22A for financing. Buyer, what type of financing are you doing? Are you doing a conventional? How much money are you putting down? Are you doing FHA, VA? What type of program are you using?
FHA.
FHA. And I'm going to click that box. Next, we're going to tab through. Are you getting any sort of down payment program from another source? Is there anything else that any money that you need for your closing costs and down payment, is there another source where this is coming from, or is it strictly from your bank account and then the loan?
Uh, a family member is giving me $50,000.
Okay. Is it a parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle?
Parent.
Perfect. We're going to put that there. Now, based on your money, not the money that you're getting from the parents, how much money are you putting down out of your bank account? Dollar figure or percentage?
200,000.
200,000. We're going to put that over here versus a percentage here. Now, buyer, you have 5 business days to apply for a loan with any lender that you want to, okay? But once that 5 days is up, you are stuck with whoever you have gotten your program or your loan through, okay? So utilize those 5 days to solidify that. You've already told me that you are pre-approved with LMNOP mortgage. However, if you want to keep searching, you're more than welcome to. I will be supplying your pre-approval letter to the listing broker seller when I send the offer. Now, if you do not make application timely in those 5 days with whoever you want to work with, or if you don't have sufficient funds to close, meaning you spent some of that $200,000, you could be in jeopardy of losing your earnest money. So anytime you need to make a change with financing, before you do anything, you need to talk to me first and I will tell you what your options are. Okay. So you have to put $200,000 down. You have to have had your loan solidified with a mortgage broker application within 5 business days, and you can't change your loan type or the lender after those 5 after you can't change the lender after those 5 days, and you cannot change your loan type or your down payment amount once you hit mutual acceptance. Now, the financing contingency has 2 options. One, the seller can ask you to waive or satisfy your financing within a certain amount of time, or it will automatically waive with a certain amount of time. So 2A is a buyer-friendly version. 2B is a seller-friendly version. We are closing within 30 days, so I'm going to say 25 days to make sure that when that date comes, those 25 days are up at 9 p.m., the seller can ask you to waive your financing. You can say yes and do it, or you can say no. If you say no, the seller has 2 choices. One, they can say, let's keep moving on, or 2, they can terminate the agreement and you will get your earnest money back. And if you do waive your financing, it will not waive your appraisal contingency because I'm checking that box for safety. Do you need any closing costs paid by the seller?
Um, sure.
Okay.
Yes.
The lender says you can have up to 3%. So we'll put 3% here and that will help. And so we'll see you're coming in low, you're getting gifts from family, and you're asking for closing costs. There's a likelihood they will either counter or not counter. And so just know that that may happen based on a request in this offer. And then this is just boilerplate language again. And I don't go over this language in this particular class, but I do recommend if you've never looked at these forms, you've never read them, that is your homework for the rest of the week. Our next form is going to be our inspection form 35. And this is where I told you when we sat in our consultation that I sent you 3 referrals for inspectors, and it's your job to find the inspector you want to use to interview them. And then when the day comes, we have mutual acceptance. I'm going to ask you to call the inspector, 3-way call me in, and we'll schedule it together based on our calendars. But it's your job, buyer, to find that person and schedule that appointment. The sewer may include a sewer scope. That's a safe bet for you since this is an older home. It's a treed road. It could have some issues with the sewer, so we want to make sure there isn't any issues. So you want to make sure that the inspector you have chosen will be able to do a sewer scope if that's what you so choose to do. How many days do you need? And I will caution you that we want to keep it as short as possible because if we need additional inspections, that's going to keep giving us more time. And the closer we get to closing and we're not ready to close, it could cause issues. So, how many days do you need to have the inspector come to the property and do the inspection? At this and same amount of time, they are supplying you with a report, and the same amount of time I am doing a request to the seller that you are asking them to fix X, Y, and Z. How many days do you need? I recommend 5, which are business days, so that usually gives you 7. And if there's a holiday in there, so 5 business days means you can't count the weekends and it can't end on a weekend. 6 days or more, you have to count the weekends and holidays, but it can't end on a weekend or holiday. How many days?
Days if not filled in. I think 10 days is fine.
Okay. I will tell you the seller will shorten that.
Mm.
Now, if the inspector says, I recommend you have additional inspections of electricity or electric or plumbing or roof or siding or windows, we will have another 5 business days to utilize and call those contractors in. So you would then make appointments with contractors that could look at those items that need to be maybe repaired, and then they can also give you a bid, and that will help us be able to ask the seller for repairs or fixes. And then once you send the request to the seller, they will have 3 business days to respond to you. If they do not respond to you, then you have another 3 days. If they respond or if they don't respond, then it goes to our last 3 days that you have to get in agreement with the seller, or this will be satisfied and you will get nothing. So I do monitor all those timelines for you, but those are the timelines for the inspection. I don't know anybody that does a neighborhood review, and you're more than welcome to, but you also have your information of verification time period. So it's up to you if you want to have a neighborhood review, knock on doors. You can still do that no matter what. You either can have a contingency around it or not. But you have so many contingencies, there isn't a reason to really put that in there.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Perfect. Next is our optional clause addendum, Form 22D. Okay. I always utilize this form strictly for this box alone. Paragraph 1 that says, I, as a buyer broker, don't make any representations about the lot size, encroachments, and so forth. I never check a box on 22T, on the title insurance unless we're waterfront or large chunks of land. Standard downgrades your policy, extended upgrades your policy, but costs you more. So I don't check those boxes unless absolutely necessary. Now, when I check the box that seller will clean the property, this means it will be broom swept. It's not going to be professionally cleaned. They don't have to clean any carpets. So just know going into it based on what you see of the property now, they may slightly broom sweep, maybe dust off the windowsills, just so you know you're not getting anything professionally cleaned. Personal property is a double-edged sword. If I check it, that means they can leave things that maybe you don't want, i.e., paint cans in the garage. They consider that personal property or not, they may leave that behind. So it could be a double-edged sword. So if you want that checked, great. I don't think it does us any good.
Mm.
They've told us that utility is public water main, public sewer main. Yeah, they said there's natural gas, there's telephone, there's electricity. I will ask them to fill in the cable provider and the internet provider because it could be important to you as a buyer because you work from home and you need to know that it has a certain provider that you can work with or not work with, depending on the location. Leased, they said there's nothing leased. I know actually don't check this box because in the boilerplate of the contract, it actually says that any leased items have to be paid off by the seller. I will tell you though, if you're in more rural areas, they might have a propane tank, and those are never paid off. So that will probably have to be checked, and you will have to assume the lease for that. They're not in an HOA area, a homeowners association, so we don't check that box. There's nothing to transfer. There's nothing to exclude. Maybe they want to come back and check this box saying they're taking the prize roses in the front of the house that are tied with a yellow ribbon, something of that nature. We will let them fill that out if they want that or not. And home warranty. If you want a home warranty, buyer shall order a home warranty. Who's going to be the provider? How much is going to be paid? And it says that it doesn't buyer and seller acknowledge the home warranty funds were. So this would be that if the buyer would pay for that, and you can always order that at a later date. Any questions on 22D?
Nope.
Our last form to fill out will be our insurance form. Now, this will ensure you, buyer, that the premiums can't be too high or the deductible can't be too high if there has been a claim. It also says that you have to apply for your binder from that insurance company within a certain period of time. It says that it will be for the default, it won't, the annual premium will not exceed 0.5% of half of 1%, if not filled in, of the purchase price, and the deductible will not exceed $2,000. I think those are very fair numbers. I wouldn't go any lower and I wouldn't go any higher. I kind of like those numbers. If you need additional coverage because you're on a hill or a bluff, if you need flood, if you need earthquake insurance, you can also say that the insurance binder won't exceed for deductible and premium of this amount. Is there anything else you want for the insurance binder for protection?
Nope.
Okay. And you shall apply for your binder within 5 business days of mutual acceptance. And this contingency shall be deemed satisfied or waived unless 15 days of mutual acceptance that you give notice that you're unable to get the binder that you want based on these numbers. So we have now filled out the purchase and sale agreement. Every time you click back and forth, it's automatically saved. We have filled out our forms. We're going to save and exit. And we're going to add these to Authentisign. Click the top bubble. It highlights all of them. You'll notice the basket has 5 forms in it. Click the basket. If you scroll over the top of these icons above, it'll tell you what it is. We want to dump this into Authentisign, which is our electronic signing system within Transaction Desk. Takes a little bit to download. Okay, now we need to add our signers. I'm going to add from the transaction. I need myself as a broker because I've signed 22J lead-based paint as well. I need to have both of my buyers. So I'm going to click those 3 boxes. It will automatically add them now to where they're going to need to sign. So you sign signature blocks here, buyer 1, buyer 2, and you'll notice that it adds them here. So that takes care of the actual forms. Now we need the documents. We need lead-based paint, the legal description. And if you want Form 17, if you want them to sign that, you can add that in here. But when you do send the offer, you're going to send the forms, including the addendums and the legal description as one attachment, the pre-approval letter as a second attachment. And if you're sending the or the Form 17 signed by your buyer, that will be a third attachment. Never keep them all here together. So I go to documents and we see we need to add a document or form. And we've got the check boxes of the things we have. What do I need to add? I need to add 22D and the legal, excuse me, 22K and the legal description and 22J lead-based paint. I've already sent you Form 17. We're not in a multiple offer situation. I will not send that to the seller or let them know that you have a copy of this because it's the seller's job to send you through the brokerages the actual Form 17 to consider it being delivered. And we don't need to add FERPTA. Seller's already signed it. I've sent you a copy. I'll make sure escrow has a copy once we hit mutual acceptance. Close. And then those items will be added. And so we're going to scroll through. Well, first off, let me go back to documents really quick. I want to kind of put this in the order that I like it. I like numeric and alphabetical. So I actually do these based on, and I always keep my legal description at the end. 22J needs to go up here. Perfect. Okay, now they're in the order I like them to be in. The biggest thing you need to remember is your purchase and sale agreement has to be the top. The other can be in any order you want. This is just my personal preference. Okay, we need to go see what we don't have signed yet. Oh, let's go back here. We need to complete 22J. The seller has completed their portion. I need to complete the buyer's portion. I'm going to go to Tools. I'm going to do an auto date here at the top by clicking and dragging. I'm going to do auto name. So I am going to do click, hold, and drag. Oops, that is not who I want. We are going to delete this. Notice it says my name and not my buyer's name. I'm going to go up here to change this to buyer number 1. Perfect. Auto date, hold, drag, drop, full name of the first buyer, drop, second buyer, full name, drag, and drop. Now you can do all one buyer and come back and do the second buyer. It's completely up to you. Okay, from here it says the seller has no known knowledge. Buyer has received anything from the actual seller. You haven't because they didn't have anything to give you. We're going to initial it, meaning that we know that to be true. So I click, drag, and drop. Buyer, do you want to have a risk assessment? Do you want to have somebody come in and test the paint for lead?
No. Mm.
If you ever find lead, buyer, I will let you know. The seller will probably not check it or will not do anything about it. Drag and drop the checkbox. So you would want to terminate at that point if you were to decide to have a risk assessment. Buyer 1 needs to sign it. This would be an example where I'm going to let buyers, I'm going to go through the whole thing and then I'm going to go backwards for the second buyer. I will also need to sign this and I'll wait for that. The next one I need to complete that the seller has completed is the identification of utilities. Hold, drag, drop, the auto date, hold, drag, drop, the full name of buyer number 1. You can always click it again and keep dragging it. And I need to have the buyer sign it. So we're going to click, drag over initials and auto date. Full name, it puts in my date. My initials don't put in the date. I think that's a setting that I've not changed. Homeowners is already done. You've signed that by, or you're going to sign that. It's got the signing blocks. Inspection is here. Legal description. You can either do initials or full name. I do full name, drag and drop that. And then this is done. Now, when the first buyer is done, now I'm going to move on to the second buyer to complete it. Go backwards. I'm going to put buyer number 2, and I'm going to put drag and drop their full name and date. That is done. That's done. Oh, there we go. Drag, drop, initial, drag, drop, auto date. And feel free to do any of this on your own and play with it and just leave it here. Don't send it unless you're sending it to your email address. But practice as much as you can to get very familiar with this process. We need her first full name here, drag and drop. Perfect. We need buyer initial on lead-based paint. Grab, drag, drop, auto date, grab, drag, drop. And I'm going to change it really quick since there's nothing else for them. I'm going to change it to mine because I, as the buyer broker, have to sign it as well. Perfect. I'm going to go back to buyer number 2 just to make sure that there isn't anything else like this one. I forgot to actually do buyer number 1. So we're going to drag and drop buyer 2. This is why I like to go slowly and I go back through it again. So in case I've missed something like this one, I can easily correct it. Okay, perfect. Let's see here. And that should complete it. Perfect. And then from there, I hit next. It goes to email address to both of the buyers, to myself. We all do our signing, and then it comes back to me as a full email. What questions do you have? So, okay. Thank you guys for joining me. Oh, did you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful Martin Luther King Day. Nice long weekend. Enjoy the sunshine while it's still here.
Yeah. Thanks,
And you
Janine.
as well.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.